Hi everyone, we are discussing the fabulous body and we have 6 members in our group. Andrea and Zahra did research and photos. Riley and Beian find photos. Kingsley did mood board. Lydia did layout for PowerPoint and research.
Our research focused on queer aesthetics as a form of self-expression. While we've mostly been conditioned to view nakedness and the absence of body decoration as the most natural state, for queer individuals it is often the opposite, and the more they add to themselves in terms of clothing, makeup, and body adornments, the more they feel themselves represented. Historically, queer style developed as a response to heteronormative expectations and conventions of middle-class aesthetics. Through nonconformity, the act of dressing became a powerful tool for forging queer identities. It is in these moments of rebellion and radical self-expression, when any natural ties between gender, biological sex, and sexual orientation are severed, that the fabulous body emerges. As Moore wrote, fabulousness almost always stems from a turning point, the moment we realize that suppressing our false selves by trying to fit in does us more harm than good. Fabulousness isn't just about sequence, it's about what happens when we stop trying to fit in and start daring to inhabit space on our own terms. However, it is important to understand that, while the fabulous body celebrates affectation and false creations as a means of gender performance, it does not inherently imply a separation between the way queer bodies present themselves in private or to an imagined audience. In other words, it is through the act of dressing that queer individuals reveal their truest, most authentic self.
Our concept is inspired by this quote from Elevate Minus to the appropriate elements of everyday's body, just putting them with fabulous jazz. We hope to demonstrate that every human interaction, gesture, and behavior is performative, even those that are considered normative or mundane. Where on the surface it may seem like parody, we are really paying the homage and exploring the themes of the fabulousness as a vehicle for marginalized individuals to reclaim their humanity and creativity. We choose to our title series Homebody to reflect the idea clothing can be a type of home as well. Comforting, safe, protective, for queer individuals, it can be even a safe haven. So for the moonball, we chose an image that was based on the flash photography to capture the real emotion and behavior of the queer in a safe environment. The key visual element is the nature, emotion, and state of the queer as they remove the pretense of the socialization.
For our photography series, we appropriated from 3 key sources: Jürgen Teller, Alok Vaid Menon, and Emmy America. Jürgen Teller's work looks at ideas of anti-fashion aesthetics and explores the idea of ugliness through sex, intimacy, and the questioning of taste level. We thought this fit well with the theme of queer aesthetics, as they are subversive and do go against the norm, challenging our society. We also thought the idea of flash photography and the subjective camera angles, like the highs and the lows, really drew attention to the creative process of photography, and really captured sort of like this idea that the viewer is a voyeur capturing a very intimate moment in time. So from Alok Vaid Menon, we drew inspiration of styling and color palette. Alok's style is very gender non-conforming, which, as opposed to androgynous style, which can be seen as like the absence of gender and form, gender non-conforming still embraces traditional masculine and feminine elements and combines them. So with Alok, we see in them very embracing of their natural body and body hair and features, and then pairing that with very feminine silhouettes and clothing. And then also with the color palette in most of Alok's photography they appear in, it seems to be very neutral background, with Alok being the pop of color. So that's what we wanted to do, is make sure that our model was sort of the colorful element in our series. For Emmy America, we really enjoyed her photography in the sense of its like humdrumness. So the really mundane tasks and settings the models are in and doing. But in saying that, they also do these crazy exaggerated poses and contortions which we thought really highlighted the relationship between the body, self, the environment, clothing, and added sort of this little bit of surrealism. We also enjoyed how natural everything seemed in terms of only using light sources that were diegetic to the surrounding, really not adding too much, and just having like the model's, I guess, craziness being the key focal point.
Our team members met over the course of this assignment to discuss our ideas and where we thought we could go with and explore our topic of the fabulous body. We conducted brainstorming and planning for what we could potentially photograph, and through our processes, we also saw our interpretations and creative direction evolve slightly throughout the project. Some of our initial ideas surrounding how we could present the fabulous body involved the body being presented in extravagant clothing in mundane spaces, performing mundane tasks such as hailing the bus, doing the dishes, grocery shopping, or searching shelves in a public library. This came from brainstorming ways we could represent queer people and provide visibility to their everyday lives, not just for when they are purposely staged in front of a camera. Another idea we had branched off of the previous concept of the fabulous body engaging in mundane tasks. It explored hands being posed and dressed in a certain way to communicate the fabulous identity and its importance to functionality. We thought about wrapping the hands in glamorous material or gloves and presenting the hands doing the previously stated tasks of washing the dishes, hailing the bus, etc. After more thoroughly analysing and interpreting images and ideas of current queer influencers, models, and photographers, we managed to gain more of an understanding and direction for how we wanted to construct our own photographs and what we wanted to communicate about the fabulous body through them. And so we eventually arrived at our current concept of demonstrating the performative nature of human interaction as inspired by Alok Vad Menon. We then looked more at mood boarding, where we came up with a few different ones to be able to explore the various avenues of photographic expression, as well as setting and poses, to which we could purposefully showcase our concept. From here, we were able to establish our choice to use flash photography as a means to communicate the feeling that a performance is taking place through lighting. By positioning the model close to the camera, the flash photography creates a spotlight effect, which mimics the idea of stage lights, which then reinforces that the moment captured in the photograph exists as part of a larger performance.
We have 4 final resolved images, so I'm going to show 2 experiments for each. Experiment number 1, not enough of the outfit was showing in the frame, therefore the wearer didn't look luxe enough to create a strong juxtaposition to the outdoorsy garden aesthetic. Number 2, the pose was just too confusing. It takes too long for the viewer to understand, but the framing was better compared to the previous photo overall. Experiment number 3, we were just testing the pose. We haven't quite nailed the angle yet as the feet are cut off and the lighting is too dull. And number 4, we tested the flash, which definitely makes the colours pop and stand out more. Number 5 was a test shot to see if the outfit and the lighting were appropriate, and I was pretty happy with it. The cactus's varying greens really did pop against the white wall. And number 6 was a trial pose with an extra cactus in the foreground, but it ended up being overexposed, and the pose is fun, but doesn't really fit in the frame properly. Number 7 was just an initial test shot. The camera angle was just too wide, so it kind of lost the concentration of the flash from the camera, and the pose doesn't evoke queer aesthetics enough. It's a bit uninspiring. Number 8 was a more evocative pose and camera angle, but the image is just too dark, so some details were lost, and the viewer is not able to spot the cleaning cloth on the boot.
We try to make our final images look objective, concise, and descriptive. The shooting was about daily body looking, so the site was usually chosen at home or in a garden. The background may also include some furniture, a swimming pool, a spa, or glass to set up the costume and the gestures. Some photos were taken with a strong contrast between the colors and the background. Filters won't be used in our images because we want to keep the authenticity and make audience visually feel closer to everyday life. Also, We wanted to keep the images simplistic and authentic, so we choose not to incorporate any digital elements such as text, graphics, or image retouching. We believe that the raw, gritty nature of our editorial will be best suited to more experimental and alternative style publications like ID or Dazed.
These are our 4 final resolved images. I had the privilege of working with such a great team on this project. The process was challenging, trying to incorporate lots of ideas and themes over Zoom, but overall it was very rewarding. Due to the persistent rain over the past month, the majority of the shoot had to happen inside, but I believe we used this to our advantage as the final images strongly reflect our theme of fabulous bodies. Here are our references. Thanks very much for listening.